Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
It's 4 o'clock in Los Angeles. It's 6 o'clock in Chicago and 7 p.m. in Atlantic City, New Jersey. Hello, everybody. I'm Mad Dr. Scipio, joined as I am by Amelia, the Pitbull Chapman. And tonight, on a very special night, a very special episode. We had no way of knowing when we planned tonight's episode that things would line up as serendipitous as they have. But it was 65 years ago this week that we lost TV Superman George Reeves. And tonight, as it would have it, our show was already pre-planned about who killed Superman. Well, that's the show tonight. Who killed George Reeves? Who killed TV Superman? Before we do that, let's talk a little bit about the last couple of shows we've had. Amelia, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. We've gotten a lot of information from a lot of people about the Beatles here lately.
Yes.
People that have watched the show and had insight. I'm going to hook them up with Dan Ely, actually. Apparently, there are quite a few people who know about Junior's Farm.
Oh, yes.
A lot of people, in fact.
And congrats on the great job. I heard that you did a fantastic job as well.
Oh, thank you. Don't tell Benny Scala that.
I'll blast it out.
Hashtag Scala from Ocala. My old friend Benny Scala, I understand, reached out to you.
Yeah.
To do a wrestling show. Well, if they call me, why not? What the hell?
Yeah, I gave them your number as you provided, so we're just waiting for them to reach out to you. So
there you go. So let me ask you a question about it. I have a question, and I've asked you this question before, but who killed Superman?
I'm gonna say I don't think it was suicide like everybody was saying because of the facts that we had brought before, but the girlfriend, or let's just say fiance, because she was running down the stairs really quickly after they called the police saying, tell them I was downstairs, like real frantic, like, please make sure that's my alibi, like anybody would. Just make sure that I was downstairs.
Well, it was interesting because that information, the first show we did, was not available.
Correct.
We have it now. Come to find out that that TV Superman George Reeves was into all kinds of stuff. Not the least of which he was fed up with playing Superman and wanted to do other things.
Yes.
Before we get into that rabbit hole, and that is a rabbit hole, folks, we're going to be here for a little bit tonight.
Conspiracy.
Let's just take a look at one of my favorite intros. This is the Superman intro. It's kind of like what they did with it, because they colorized it, but they did a little modern touch-up. You'll notice the difference. Watch.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird.
It's a plane.
It's Superman. Yes, it's Superman. Strange visitor from another planet who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. Superman, who can change the course of mighty rivers, bend steel in his bare hands, and who, disguised as Clark Kent, mild-mannered reporter for a great metropolitan newspaper, fights a never-ending battle for truth, justice, and the American way. And now, another exciting episode in the adventures of Superman.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I love what they did with that. They kind of mixed, they took the original intro, which we have, by the way. They took the original intro and they colorized it, but then they added a modern gun and a modern train, but
Right.
they used the same building, but they colorized the
Yeah,
building,
when he went up. Yeah.
which was, I loved it. I love what they did. You can't do a show without Superman unless you play that intro. It would
Absolutely.
be sacrilege not to. It really would.
Yeah, because that's
Um,
his theme, no matter what, no matter who becomes Superman after him.
So, Amelia, we've been down this road before. It was Sunday, actually, Father's Day was 65 years ago to the day that George Reeves was killed,
Hmm.
and we're sitting here on this day on Wednesday, June 19th, 2024, exactly 65 years from the day he was supposed to get married
Correct.
to Lenore Lemon. There's only one there's a couple of problems. There was one big problem, though. He didn't love Lenore Lemon.
No.
No, he loved Tony Mannix.
Yeah, he was just using, to me, he was just using her as someone to get married to, so maybe continue the affair maybe later on, but you don't know because back then you would be married, do your stuff in Hollywood, and then go home to your wife.
Mhm. Well, I mean, why do you say that?
Because back then you wouldn't show who you were having the affair with. You try to keep it as discreet
Well,
as
no,
possible
not
back then.
necessarily. I thought about that too, but no, not necessarily, because as you're going to find out tonight, there was a couple other little wrenches in the works over here. Somebody threw all kinds of monkey wrenches into
Mhm.
this party.
Right.
There was all kinds of stuff going on. All right, so let's talk about. Let's give a little backstory. Okay, so George Reeves, obviously is a talented actor. He'd done, stage plays, and the television, of course, was a new thing at the time.
Right. Hmm.
And of course, Superman. People don't understand this, but Superman ended in 1958, and George died in 1959, a month before I was born, in fact.
Right.
And so people don't understand the timing here. He had already at that point had a fairly long career
Oh yes, absolutely.
in film, and he had done, he did probably 13 or 14 movies by
Mhm.
this point,
Yes.
but he wasn't getting the kind of like big starring roles that he thought he deserved. Well,
Correct.
let's be honest about it. You're talking about a time in history when people like Errol Flynn and Clark Gable and John Barrymore
Mhm.
and Lionel Barrymore and
Right. Mhm.
people like Marlon Brando were alive and well, you know? And so this time period was loaded with some of the greatest actors in film history. I mean, great actors. But people like Lee J. Cobb and oh God, again, that's Marlon Brando. Oh God, Tony Franciosa as a young actor, and people like say Clark Gable, and you had people like old Red Berry, and just all kinds of folks that were big stars at the time. Uh, oh God, who else? Peter O'Toole. God, he was a legend. Always was a legend. So you're talking about some incredible actors. Going to ask you, Amelia, to unmute yourself there because I can't have that conversation.
No,
Well,
I hear you. I just the dog was
I
barking a
wasn't
little
hearing
bit too
you.
loud.
That was the problem. So can't
No,
hear you if you got yourself muted.
no, I wasn't talking. It was the dog. He was wanting to be a part of the
Don't worry about
conversation.
the dog.
No,
Don't worry about it.
I can understand that he wanted to be a part of the Hollywood elite.
He
Actually,
wanted to be an actor in movies.
yes.
And no one was knocking his door down,
Yeah,
going, "Go on, George, I got a great picture for you."
yeah, because he said that his mom said he has such a beautiful face, so it belonged up on the big screen. It
Well, it
belonged to be the
wasn't
center of
just his
attention.
his handsome face.
Hmm.
He was a good-looking guy,
Yes.
true enough. But the other thing was he's an actor.
Hmm.
Actors have to act.
Yes.
If you take them off of the stage and you take them off of the screen,
Hmm.
they're not making any money.
They're not.
That,
They're
that
not, and
that's
that's
how
all
you
he
get
knew.
paid.
Yeah, and that's what he knew to survive at that time back then,
Well,
because he didn't
yeah.
want
I
to.
mean, if you're an actor and you're not working, guess what? How the
Yeah,
bills getting paid?
yeah. He didn't want to be cleaning pools for the rest of his life, like he did for his neighbor back then, while he was doing in between jobs before he got the Superman and everything like that, because that's what he was
Well,
doing.
he cleaned the swimming pools. He cleaned the cesspools.
He did a
He
lot of
he did a
different.
lot of side
Hmm.
jobs that people
Hmm.
would look at him and go, "Aren't you that
Yeah.
person?" And he would
Hmm.
go, "Yeah." And
Hmm.
sometimes he would go, "No."
No, because he didn't want all the ambush of everything. And
Yeah. Well, he didn't want to look. It's embarrassing to say, "Yes, I was in Gone with the Wind."
hmm.
You know, uh, how much shit would you like to empty out of your cesspool today?
Right? How much would you like? But it's a little part. But you were in that big movie. Why are you here doing that? And then he'd have to stop and explain.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a question that I'm sure you don't want to answer.
Right. Exactly.
Now, here's the thing. Superman lasted from 19 oh God, 1953 to 1958.
Hmm.
5 years it was on the air. That 5 years made George Reeves a star.
Oh yes, he did.
But you would think he'd have been grateful, but he wasn't because like he said, and I'm going to read this to you. It's interesting what he said
Hmm.
because it kind of gives you a little bit of insight into the person that George Reeves was. And you're going to see a picture of his friend Ben Weldon tonight. He was a friend of George and an actor. He said, after the I Love Lucy episode, which he did
Hmm.
Superman, of course, on
Yeah.
that,
Hmm.
Superman was no longer a challenge to him. I know he enjoyed the role, but he used to say, here I am wasting my life. The other thing he said to was co-star Jack Larson that played Jimmy Olsen on Superman.
Hmm.
He said, Reeves told Jack Larson, quote, if Mark Sandridge had not died, he would not be standing here in this, quote, monkey suit, unquote.
Hmm.
Because it really got under his skin that the only real work he could get and make good money was Superman.
Right.
He wanted to do music. He wanted to do movies. He wanted to do the stage again. He loved to be on stage.
Mhm.
People don't know that, but he loved
Yeah.
being on stage. What happened between the time he became Superman and the time he died is what brings us to tonight's show.
Right.
No one would have cared about George Reeves if Superman had gone off the air, and that would have been that. But if you're all the eyes are on you and you're the guy of the moment, and let's be honest about it,
Yeah.
he was the guy of the moment,
Moment. Hmm.
okay? All the eyeballs were on you, including the photographers and the
Hmm.
press and the paparazzi. And if you go out to dinner with somebody that you're not supposed to go out to dinner with, there's somebody here with a camera. They're going to
Yes,
take
they're
a
gonna be like,
picture.
oh yes, right
And they
away.
did. And you're going to see
Mhm.
some tonight. So here's what happened. About a year after The Adventures of Superman went off the air, Phyllis Coates, who was one of the actresses later in the show, who played Lois Lane early on, she received a very strange phone call. It was from a woman named Toni Mannix.
Yes.
We know who Toni Mannix is now, whom Reeves had been having an affair with, as she was the wife. Listen to this one now, folks. Amelia, we covered this one. This was like took some balls.
Oh yeah.
Having dinner with Toni Mannix. Who is Toni Mannix? She's married to a guy named Eddie Mannix, the head of MGM Studios.
Yes.
That's the studio that brought you Gone with the Wind,
And
The Wizard of Oz, a bunch of swashbuckler movies and Clark Gable films and stuff like that, right? Big picture company. So Eddie Mannix is the head of that studio. But Eddie Mannix, and it's revealed nowadays, we know now, Eddie Mannix and his wife had a very unusual relationship. They had what we refer to nowadays as an open relationship, where they would see other people. They would be married, wake up with your husband, go to bed with your husband. But whatever you do in between that time, that's up to you.
Correct.
That's what they were kind of relationship we're talking about that they had. So she gets this phone call from Toni Mannix. And now, she knows now. Phyllis Coates knows now that something's up with George because he's having, this kind of like relationship he's not supposed to. And that's not like him. Okay. So she gets this phone call, and the voice on the phone says, the boy is dead.
Yes.
He's been murdered. Turns out she was referring to George Reeves, Toni Mannix was.
Yes.
How did she know this? Okay. How did she know this? We're going to find out the answer to that question tonight, because I found out the answer.
Oh, good.
Turns out that she was referring to Reeves, who had been found dead in his bedroom that night with a gunshot wound to the head. There was a party at the Reeves household, hosted by George's fiancée, Lenore Lemon. Talk about her tonight, too, at some length. Some say that he committed suicide. You're going to hear a lot tonight about suicide prevention, folks. They say he was depressed, that he was despondent over not being able to get, major film work, that he didn't really want to do the Superman character anymore, but because they paid him. Now, think about this, what I'm telling you. $5,000 an episode. In the 50s, you hear what I'm saying?
Right. Which is like what, 50,000 now or more?
It would be like 50 to 60 grand per episode today.
Wow.
In today's money. Now, I want you to think about $5,000 then. You're talking about actors were making 20, 30 bucks.
Yes.
Do you hear what I'm saying to you guys? 20, 30 bucks to do an appearance on TV. If you were somebody like the Three Stooges, you got 500 or 600.
Right.
100. We're talking about
hundreds. Yeah.
Superman was getting 5,000 per show. Okay, and he was not happy with it. Not that he wasn't happy with the money, but the longer he stayed Superman, the more his career went into the toilet. The thing that made him a star was killing him.
Yes.
because he was no longer a working actor. He was Superman. In fact, when he died, kids and parents had to explain to kids that Superman died. Well, how can you kill Superman?
Exactly, because of everything that's supposed to not kill him,
You
what's a
know?
kryptonite and everything and so forth. And
Well, yeah, kryptonite could kill him, but so can a bullet. Well, bullets were supposed to
yeah,
bounce off your chest.
yeah.
Did you ever see the movie Hollywoodland?
No, I have not.
Do yourself a favor and watch it.
I will. Absolutely. I'm gonna write
Okay.
that down.
Hollywoodland is an amazing movie with Ben Affleck and Adrian Brody. It's the story of the death of Superman.
Mm.
Ben Affleck plays George Reeves in the movie. And something interesting happens in that movie. Again, he did anything he could to make a dollar. Well, they advertised him for a Wild West show in Pasadena, California.
Mm-hmm.
No big deal. They had a film studio there, and it was part of the film studio. It was the Wild West, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So the cowboys are shooting each other. They're falling off the buildings. It's a stunt show. You get where I'm going with it.
Yes. Uh-huh.
A little boy walks up to George Reeves with a gun, with a cowboy gun
Uh-huh.
that had real bullets in it.
Oh my gosh.
How he got it, where he got it, nobody knows.
Oh no.
Reeves looks at the gun. He looks at the gun, and he already knows, he realizes these are real bullets. The kid says, "Can I shoot you? I want to see the bullets bounce off your chest."
Oh my gosh.
Because he was such a quick thinker, here's what he said. His answer was brilliant. "Well, Johnny," or whatever his name was. "Well,
Mm-hmm.
Johnny, if you shoot me, the bullets will bounce off my chest. But what happens if that bullet hits another little boy or girl?
Yes.
You wouldn't want that to happen, would you?" And Johnny goes, "No."
Right.
"Okay, give me the gun." Gives him
Hmm.
back the gun. The kid
Hmm.
goes back and sits down. That's
Oh,
a true fucking story. That
that is
really
a quick
happened.
thinker and great thinker. Whoa.
Off the top of his head.
Oh wow. And off it's actually time for our first commercial.
No, it's not.
Oh, we're
Not
not doing the
tonight.
commercial?
You
Okay.
know why? Because I don't feel like doing it. I want to talk about Superman.
Right. Yeah, and also too, he was also real respectful with children since you brought that up. Of course, he
Sure.
was a smoker, and anytime that
Well,
children
yes.
were around, he would not smoke at all.
In fact, he took the role. I'm glad you said something.
Mhm.
I'm glad you said something because I have it right in front of me here. He took the role of Superman so seriously
Yes.
that, and you're going to see that the guy who helped him, he took the role so seriously, he quit smoking,
Yes.
he got into shape,
Mhm.
and he learned how to fall and
Oh
take
yeah.
tumbles. The
Mhm.
guy who taught him that was Judo Gene LaBelle. He was a professional wrestler, and he just died last year.
Oh no.
He was in his 90s.
Oh wow.
He just died. You're going to see a picture of him tonight. Yeah. In fact, you know what? Why don't we do this, Amelia?
Mhm.
Let's show the cast of characters.
Sounds great.
It's an interesting. It really is kind of interesting. Watch this. Okay, so this is George Reeves. Okay, the woman with him is Noelle Neal. She's the woman, you recognize her as she played Lois Lane in the majority of the Superman series. The ending of the series, they used the woman named
Phyllis
Coates.
Coates. Mhm.
Yeah, Phyllis Coates was the woman. And so this is Noel Neal, and you're going to see. The other thing is there's Noel Neal just before she died.
Oh.
She gave an interview about George Reeves. That's Eddie Mannix. I was real surprised the first show that we did
Mhm.
because the evidence at the time, given what we had, seemed to point directly to some involvement by Eddie Mannix, right?
Yes, correct. Because that's what we had thought that had happened.
That's
Yeah,
what we
direction.
thought happened. Well,
Mhm.
not so fast, maybe.
Hmm.
Eddie Mannix was, before he was a producer, he was part of a crew called the Fixer Crew.
Mhm.
Okay? He had seriously strong connections to the mafia.
Oh my goodness.
And he and Howard, oh God, give me a break. Hold on a second. Howard Schoenfeld. He and Howard Schoenfeld used to go in and kind of rough people up and beat them up, and they got a couple of murders under their belts too.
Oh my goodness.
So the whole idea was nothing can go wrong with this movie. Okay? Nothing can go wrong with this movie. And studios used to send the fixers in to make sure that nothing went wrong. So Eddie Mannix was a fixer. He was so good at what he did that he ended up becoming the head of MGM Studios. And he was very, very good at it. That's his wife, Toni Mannix. Pretty woman.
Mm-hmm.
George Reeves thought so too. That's Jack Larson, Jimmy Olsen. And there was Jack Larson doing an interview about George Reeves before he passed away. And there's George and Toni Mannix. They were at a restaurant in Hollywood called Ciro's. Okay? You'll notice that they don't seem to be fazed by the photographer,
They do not.
despite the fact that the next day their picture was plastered all over the newspaper. That's when things went south real quick for George Reeves. Let's watch. This is Ben Weldon. Ben Weldon was a friend and confidant of George Reeves. He was also a character actor. And he told George, basically, watch your back. Because there's something going on, you might, be aware, in other words.
He probably heard rumors, and he wanted to make sure that he knew about
Oh,
it.
yeah. And he came to him, as a loyal friend. He came to
Yes.
him and said, you might want to watch yourself there, kid.
Yeah.
And Ben Weldon was a good friend. This is Helen Lesher. Helen was George's mom. She was also known as Helen Lesher Bassetto,
Yes.
because her first husband was Frank Bassetto.
Yes.
Nice guy, decent guy, good guy. Died very young at like 51, I believe.
Mhm.
He passed away. This is a picture again of Helen Lesher, George's mom. This is done in the 1960s. This picture, and it was also a kind of a what you want to say, kind of an interview that she did, and they took a picture of her, and she was telling the reporter at the time that my son didn't deserve this. He deserved better. My son was a handsome guy, a great actor. Somebody killed my boy, and I want to find out who.
Oh, yes.
Sadly, she died before she could ever get any answers.
Mm.
I think that was part of what killed her, is that she couldn't get any answers. You know?
That's so sad too, not knowing. The
Yeah.
not knowing, and it was so
Well,
heartfelt.
and what we're looking at now is interesting because it's George Reeves and George Reeves Jr. George Reeves had one child. You're looking at him. His son passed away 3 years ago.
Mm.
The gentleman on the right-hand side, he looks just like his father. Look
He
at him.
does. Just a lot of features.
I mean, there's no denying who that daddy is.
No, it's not.
No denying whatsoever who that daddy is. That was George Reeves Jr. George Cukor Reeves Jr. And sadly, he died from prostate cancer.
Mm.
This is wrestler Gene LaBelle. He was a close friend of George. He's also the guy who got him into shape to be Superman.
Mm.
The other thing you might be interested in, Amelia, is that when the Superman series went off, Gene LaBelle trained George Reeves to be a wrestler.
Oh, wow.
He said, look, you know what? I know it's not what you want to do. I know that it might be beneath you, but the money is incredibly good and you'll make a lot of money. You'll get caught up on all your bills. You can
Right.
take care of that girlfriend of yours that's sucking you dry.
Yeah, I can imagine that. The way she
Yeah.
was.
And Gene LaBelle was the guy that kept George Reeves kind of level there for a while anyway. And this was George. Now you look at that picture. Hold on a minute.
Yeah, that one from, I guess.
You look at that picture and you look at the picture of his son.
Yes.
They look
They-
like twins.
They do. It's like more.
Remarkable, isn't it? That's Lenora Lemon. That was Lenora Lemon in 1959. You're going to see Lenora Lemon with George. And that's Lenora Lemon in 2017, right
Mhm.
before she died, giving an interview to ABC News.
Hmm.
You'll notice she's got this look on her face like, how dare you ask me that question?
Yeah, it's like, oh, did they find out something that?
Oh, yeah, they found out something for sure. They did. Absolutely. I'm going to tell you tonight what they found out.
She's got the
That's
eyebrow
Lenora
raised.
Lemon
So,
for sure.
yeah, she's
There's Superman, of course, the Man of Steel. All right, now, let me tell you a little bit. Remember I just mentioned to you the Fixers?
the Fixers. Yes. Mm-hmm.
You're looking at the Fixers.
Mm.
That's Eddie Mannix, Howard Schoenfeld, and in the middle is Clark Gable.
Oh, wow.
Clark Gable. You see what the headline there says? TV superhero, something work, kills, whatever.
Something,
Okay?
yeah.
Anyway, so the point is, they didn't play around.
No, they did not. It
They
doesn't
didn't
look like
play
it.
around.
So
Okay.
if you didn't
All right,
do
so
what they
that's
wanted,
the characters.
mm-hmm.
Here's what we know, and I want to bring these cast of characters up because we're going to talk about them. All right, we already know Eddie Mannix. Here's what we know now that we did not know then, and we talked about this before, Amelia.
Yes.
Eddie Mannix was suspected of involvement in the death of George Reeves, the star of the Adventures of Superman. Reeves had begun having an affair with Mannix's wife, Tony, in 1951.
51. Wow.
Okay. Before he became a star. Okay.
Yes.
Because even she thought he was a good looking guy. She was taking care of him financially.
Oh yes, she was. Even the house that he lived in.
Yeah, she
Mhm.
owned the house.
Mhm.
People don't understand that. Yeah, that was her house. It wasn't. He didn't. Let me
She,
tell you something. He couldn't afford to buy
uh,
crap,
right.
like literally crap. He couldn't
She
afford
was
to buy
the
crap.
she was the sugar mama, as they say nowadays.
Yeah, exactly. Sugar mama for real.
Mhm.
Mannix reportedly approved of the affair, which was an open secret in Hollywood. Okay. So when his picture hit the newspaper, it didn't come across to a lot of people as a big surprise. It came across as a surprise to the average movie fan that didn't have the
Yeah,
inside info.
correct.
Okay. Eddie Mannix was simultaneously at the same time he was married to Tony Mannix, he was having an affair with a woman from Japan.
Mhm.
He had gone to Japan on a business trip. He brought the woman back with him.
Oh my goodness.
She worked in his house as a housekeeper.
Hmm.
You understand what we're saying here?
Yeah.
He brought his mistress home from Japan
Hmm.
and hired her. Crazy stuff. You do that now,
You'll
they're
be
either
like,
going to pat you on the back or throw you in jail.
and the wife's gonna find out and say, okay, what you're not gonna have is this, 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 and this.
Well, here's the thing about that. Tony
Mhm.
Mannix knew about it, but you know what? She didn't
Mhm.
care because
Mhm.
why? Why did she not care? Think
'Cause she
about it.
had her own. She had her own little boy on the side, as might say.
Hello. She had something else on the side too.
Yeah.
A ton of fucking money.
Mhm.
Money. Like about 20 million, which today is like 90 million.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Okay. Here's what happened. Um, Eddie and his wife, Eddie Mannix and his wife, Tony Mannix, they were, believe it or not, they were staunch Catholics. Listen to this shit.
Oh no.
They did not believe in divorce. So the arrangement that they had continued for several years after that, up until the day he died.
Mm.
Reeves, however, ended the affair in early 1959, around February, they believe, and soon became engaged to socialite Lenore Lemon, which devastated Tony. Now, I want you to think about what I just said. It devastated her. But let me ask you a question because you're a woman and I need a woman's answer.
Okay.
Okay. Because I'm a guy and I don't think like that. Here's a question I have. If you're devastated, you're having an affair, you're a married woman. Let's line everything up. You're a married woman having an affair with an actor that the world has fallen in love with. Okay?
Yes.
Now, your husband doesn't seem to mind, and his Japanese girlfriend don't care because she's working.
Right.
She's getting paid. So you meet this socialite, which socialite is a fancy way of saying sugar mama,
Mhm.
playgirl, right?
Right.
So now, tell me what you do in that situation.
You mean you've already met the guy that you want to be with, and he doesn't want to be with you in that scenario, or anymore?
Say
What?
that
What?
one again. Let me follow you here.
Like what? Like the scenario that you found the guy that you want to be with, and you want to spend the money on him, like buy him stuff so you'll stay with in your life, or he dumped you. Is that the scenario you want?
Well, no, well, wait a minute now. Let's back up.
Hmm.
Eddie Mannix was doing the same thing with his Japanese girlfriend. So
Hmm.
two could
Yeah.
play that game.
Yeah. No, I would. If it was me and I said, honey, come here, I want to buy you this house. I want to have you buy you this car. Keep them up. So,
Well, no,
that
you
would.
have to see that does. I would say yes to that,
Hmm.
but there's one little caveat.
Hmm.
Tony Mannix didn't need Eddie Mannix's money. She had her
No,
own
she had
money.
her own. That's what I'm saying. She would spend
She
her own
was
money.
wealthy before she met
Yeah.
Eddie Mannix.
Yeah. She
You
had her
know,
own money to spend on whatever she wanted. So she
her
could do her
name
own
was
little thing.
her name was Antoinette Lanier.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, she was from a circus family.
She was from a circus family that had a ton of
Hmm.
money
Yes.
back in the time when the circus was like the king,
Oh yeah, it was like
you
huge back
know,
then. That's when it first started with everything.
not like today where you'd be lucky to find a circus anywhere.
Hmm.
Okay. So she had her own money. She
Oh
didn't
yeah.
need any Mannix's
No,
money.
she spent her own money on him and bought him whatever he needed or
Well,
wanted at the
here's
time.
the thing. If she was so devastated, is that motivation for murder?
I would
Here's
say,
my question to you. What
mhm.
was the motive to kill Superman?
Well, if somebody else had him and I still loved him, yeah, if you can't have him, then I can't have him either. Or if you can't have him, I'm going to find a way to have him, or forget it. You can't have him, I can't have him.
That's one way to look at it. But let's say you're not the vindictive type. Apparently, Tony Mannix was not the vindictive type.
Then the husband would see how upset she was, and he would probably
Go ahead. You're going there. Go ahead.
have somebody do his dirty work for him and put a hit out on Superman.
Oh, you're well, almost there, and then you veered off the rail.
Or kill him himself, or murder, or have the new fiance do it if she was
Well,
having an affair
now,
with Maddox as
now
well.
you're back on the rails. Okay.
He could have been having an affair with Maddox as well, because it's all intertwined.
Well, wait a
Hollywood was like
minute.
this.
Now you know where the new evidence is.
What did
Here's
I
what
just?
we have found out, ladies and gentlemen.
I have not. No, this is the first time I'm hearing this too, right?
Well, because think about it, it's just common sense.
Yeah.
You knew the connect the dots.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, connect the dots.
Right.
Okay. Who had everything to gain? Two people had everything to gain. One person lost big time.
Yes.
Well, two people lost big
Yeah.
time. Two people lost big, and two people gained big. Who do you think them two people were that lost big?
Well, Tony, for one, she lost big because she would lose pretty much. I guess she loved him, George.
You said it right there.
Mhm.
She lost because she was actually in love with George.
Mhm.
Who else might have lost?
I would have said his fiance, because she would have lost maybe the money. No.
No.
Hmm.
Simple answer. His mother.
Oh yeah, her
His
only
mother.
son.
The
Yeah.
fiance, let me remember what I said. She's a playgirl.
Mm-hmm.
She's a quote unquote socialite. Fancy word for playgirl. And
Yeah,
if
she
we
can have.
would call somebody like that today, Amelia,
Mm-hmm.
we would call them a player.
Mm.
You know, like Teddy Long would say, you know, holler at me, player.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, player. They'd
Hey,
be a
player.
player today. Here's the thing. Since his death was ruled a suicide, controversy has surrounded that ruling ever since. The problem was two varying versions of what happened that night in the house. Some people were told, keep your mouth shut, don't say anything. We already know that because they've come forward.
Mm-hmm.
Other people said, what happened? We heard a gunshot. Lenore Lemon apparently went upstairs and came running downstairs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
George Reeves supposedly committed suicide. Okay. We're not advocating that anybody does that, by the way.
Yeah.
But George Reeves allegedly commits suicide. Wouldn't one bullet do it?
Oh, absolutely. If you do it the right way, the way they did it back then, yeah.
Well, guess
here.
what? They found 3 bullets in his
What?
room.
Yeah.
2 of them were in the back of his head. How do you shoot yourself twice in the back of the head? Okay? Twice in the back of the head, and there's 3 bullets. There's one in the floor, there's one in the wall, and there's one jammed into the windowsill because apparently
Mm-hmm.
it hit like it broke the window,
Right.
and it almost went out the window.
Oh.
But what happened was the bullet jammed in like the literal windowsill, the wood.
Mm-hmm.
It went this way, and they found the bullet like literally sticking out of the wood.
Oh my gosh. So it would have just been right there for them. And the weird
Right?
thing is like you were saying, if we found 2 bullet holes on him, so maybe this is my assumption that somebody was up there already waiting for him with the silencer on the gun.
I had said that on the last show we did.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing. I think you're right. I think you're right. And I'm going to tell you why. I had suggested that when Karen Rayner had joined us that night. Here's the problem, though. It wasn't a problem for me to understand it. There were people in the house all day. Okay. Lenore was a socialite. She had all kinds of people coming over, right? George was at the studio all day in the daytime.
Right.
These people are in his house. He doesn't know any of them.
Mm-mm.
What's the odds that somebody went upstairs, hid in the closet, or
Yes.
stayed upstairs till he got home and then hid in the closet?
That's what I was thinking too,
Hold
because
on a minute.
yeah.
Hold on.
Mhm.
While I'm thinking of it, because
Mhm.
I got it. I'm gonna read something to you,
Mhm.
because you're closer than you think. Believe me when I tell
Mhm.
you. Okay, so Lenore Lemon, she lets this person in.
Right?
Go upstairs, be quiet. He'll be home in a couple of hours. She goes upstairs. She rolls around the bed a little bit with her other lover, whatever. Okay.
Yes. Mhm.
All right. Now, George is at the studio. He comes home 5 o'clock, 5:30. All the guy wants to do, he said to Lenore, all I want to do is take a shower. I feel dirty. I've been in this costume all day. We know he said that because there's a record of it.
Yes.
Okay. He had been doing, I think they did 3 episodes that day of Superman. He comes home, he goes upstairs, he wants to get a shower. He comes out of the shower. Here's what I'm playing this back in my head.
Yes.
He comes out of the shower. He puts his robe on and a pair of pajamas. He goes downstairs because there's all kinds of people in his house. Now, he knows that because he had to come in the front door.
Correct.
And he saw everybody and he went, hi, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. He goes up, I'll be back. I'm going to go just
Mhm.
grab a shower real quick. Come back down. So he did. He came
Mhm.
back down, said hi to everybody. Lenore Lemon had ordered a bunch of pizza that night and beer. Okay. So the delivery guy there, he's delivering beer, he's delivering pizza. She says, oh, George, give the guy some money. So he hands him a couple of $100. Okay. Money that he didn't have, by the way, right? He gives her he gives the pizza guy and delivery guy a couple of $100. All right. For pizza and beer. I think that's a lot of money, right?
Oh, yes.
He goes upstairs. He tells her, I have to lay down for a little bit. I'm tired. He goes upstairs. This is me. I'm playing this out in my head.
Mhm.
He goes upstairs, walks into his bedroom. As soon as he gets in his room, he shuts the door. That's when I think the guy comes out of the closet with the gun. I think he surprised George. I think they scuffled. But the interesting thing is, there's not a shred, not 1 ounce of gunpowder residue on George Reeves' hand.
Mhm.
If he had committed suicide,
Mhm.
there would be gunpowder residue on his hands
Yes.
and
Correct.
on his pajamas
Correct.
and on his face. Okay? There was nothing. Listen to this. This is from the LAPD, Los Angeles Police Department. Since that alleged suicide, controversy surrounded the ruling ever since. Rumors arose that Eddie Mannix, who was rumored to have the connections to organized crime, well, we know that already,
Oh yes.
had arranged for Reeves to be murdered by a hitman. Kashner and Schoenberg's book alleges, that's the guy, Howard Schoenberg, alleges without citing any sources. Listen to this one. They say that Tony Mannix, using her husband's connections, ordered George Reeves' murder.
Mm.
I don't believe that. And I'll tell you why I don't believe that. We had given the answer already during the show. She was in love with him.
Yes, she was.
Now, something happens at 1579 Benedict Canyon in Los Angeles, California that night. Okay? Here's what happens. A number of people show up at this party.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you think one of the people was that shows up at the party?
Let's see. Probably one of the Maddox. No.
Which
Really?
one?
Tony?
Eddie.
No. Eddie shows up?
Eddie Mannix
Wow.
shows up at the party.
Mm.
Why would that happen?
Probably to get the lay of the house a little bit better.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Or to hide. To go
You got to
to-
remember something.
Mhm.
He knows this house. Why does he know this house?
Because his wife bought the house.
His wife owns it. That's
Mhm.
why he knows this house.
Mhm.
Listen to what the Los Angeles Police Department said.
Mm-hmm.
A number of questionable physical findings were reported by LAPD investigators and others. No fingerprints were ever recovered from the gun.
Correct.
So, one of two things happened. Somebody was wearing gloves, or they took tape and taped up the gun. Number one. Okay. No gunpowder residue was ever found on Reeves's hands or body. Some sources contend that it may not have been looked for as gunshot residue was in its infancy. That's not really true. They'd known about gunshot residue since the 1920s because that's when gunpowder was really coming into its own for bullet purposes, particularly with the police departments. The bullet that killed George Reeves was recovered from the bedroom ceiling.
Yes.
And the spent shell casing was found underneath his body.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
How does that happen?
They had to
How
have
does
moved
that
him.
happen?
They had to have moved
There's
him,
only
right?
one way. There's only one way that can happen. You tell me, Miss Detective. Tell me how that can happen.
The body had to have been moved.
No.
No.
That's one reason. That's one way. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but that's not what happened. How else would the shell casing be on the bottom and the bullet be on top?
Let's see. Could have been.
How about if George Reeves is fighting with you and he falls on top of you
and then the gun goes off? Yeah.
The killer is on the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
The killer is underneath. He's on the bottom.
And then he just does it like that, and your George Reeves appears.
He shoots him exactly.
Mm-hmm.
He shoots him here. The bullet goes through George Reeves, through and through.
And then it goes right up there.
It hits the ceiling. Where's the shell casing go? On the floor, under the body. Of course.
And so that kind of brings me up to like, oh, there he is, which, when she was saying, oh, look at that. You hear that? He's opening the drawer. He's getting his gun out. She's saying it loud enough, I guess, for that person in that
Oh,
room to
wait a
hear.
minute. We're not there yet. We're not
You know.
there yet. You're
Mhm.
you're already at the end of the show.
No, that's
You're
what.
already at the end of the show. We're not even close
But
to that
what
part
I
yet.
don't understand is, okay, why was all these bullets there? Could he have missed a couple times because you couldn't hear but one bullet? So there had to have been a silencer
If
on that gun.
you're they remember what they said. Now think
Mhm.
about this. You don't have to be Einstein to figure this out.
Mhm.
Okay. You only need to shoot yourself in the head one time,
Exactly.
and that's it. Whether you kill yourself or not, you're not ever going to be normal again
Mm-mm.
because the bullet is going to scramble your brain.
Exactly.
If you live, you're not going to be the same person.
No, you're not.
Okay? Here's the problem. Here's the problem. Initially, they said 2 bullets were recovered. Guess what? Not true. 3 of them, at least 3, at possibly 4 that we mentioned on the last show. And I
Right.
still think we're right about 4.
4, yeah.
But
The
they
way you had
found
counted.
3.
Yeah.
Here's where
Mhm.
they found them. They were discovered in the bedroom floor,
Mhm.
the ceiling. They were in the window jamb. All 3 bullets were fired from the same weapon, they believe. They were also, the weapon itself, think about this now.
Mhm.
The gun itself was found at George Reeves's feet.
What
How's that possible?
you that's not suicide if you find the gun at your feet.
You just answered there you go. You just solved the murder. There you go. Okay.
That's murder 100 101 right there.
All right. Here you go. Here you go. They found that's the one thing that we did not have access to on the first show.
Right.
We assumed
Yes, we did.
because they said it was a suicide.
Yes.
We assumed the gun was still in his hands
Yeah, or close by him
or
somewhere.
close by,
Yes.
upper body.
Correct. That's what you had said before.
Nobody saw this one coming because it was at his feet. All right. So now, most of the witnesses, they say almost all of the witnesses agreed that they heard only one gunshot. However, later, the same witnesses that said they heard one gunshot also told the police that they were told to say they heard one gunshot because Jean LaBelle, among other people who was there that night, said that he heard at least 2. And after everyone was questioned again by investigators, the truth started to come out. It started to come out that, oh, wait a minute. It wasn't one shot. It was at least 2.
2. Mm-hmm.
So we know there were at least 2. All right. They all agree that there was no sign of forced entry. They all agreed that. Okay. They all agreed on the other physical evidence that was presented that night. Here's what we now know. We know that there was a second person in the room. We believe now that there's physical evidence now of a second person being in the room. Very possibly Lenore Lemon herself and whomever she may have hired or had been hired, quote unquote,
Correct.
to kill George Reeves. There's one other little tidbit of information you might be very, very interested to know, Amelia. Okay?
I'm ready.
Very interesting. You're going to love this one. Okay. In 1959, remember, Tony Mannix and Eddie Mannix didn't believe in divorce.
Correct.
Okay. Guess what happened in 1959?
What, they got divorced?
Nope.
No.
Eddie Mannix became a bigamist.
Oh my gosh.
Guess who he married? Take a guess.
Don't tell me it was Superman's.
Lenora Lemon.
Oh my gosh.
Eddie Mannix dated, courted, and married Lenora Lemon while he was married to Tony Mannix.
How coincidental, huh?
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on a second. Coincidental?
That that puts a on there.
I read that and I went, you gotta be kidding me. Are you fucking
I would
kidding?
have been like, what in the world? Wait a minute. Wait.
As soon as I read that, I said, there's the means, motive, opportunity, motive with a big M.
Yes.
There's a huge motive. You remember something. The motive in this case was never financial.
No.
Why? Eddie Mannix had money.
And of course,
Lenora Lemon had money.
Yeah.
Tony Mannix had money. Everybody had money except one person.
Superman, George Reeves himself.
Superman himself, George Reeves.
Yeah.
George Reeves was the only person, and the most famous of them was the most famous person in the crew,
and did not
was
have
the one
money.
who had no money. Go
Yeah.
figure that one out.
Hmm.
Okay? Why? Because his girlfriend, Lenora Lemon, I say his girlfriend, quote unquote girlfriend, Lenora Lemon, this woman spent money like a drunk sailor.
Wow.
Okay? She spent money like a drunk sailor, and I want to tell you what. She threw around $100 bills like they were, glasses of water.
Mm.
They meant nothing to her. She thought, here's what really happened. I believe if you want to talk about who's really guilty of killing Superman, look at Lenora Lemon. Look at Lenora Lemon and look at what Eddie Mannix did for her. Why would he do that? Because it would kill, pardon the language, but it would kill two birds with one stone. Number one, it would eliminate Eddie Mannix from having to deal with George Reeves. Now he's no longer banging his wife, number one. Even though they have an open relationship.
Yeah.
Number one. Number two, Eddie Mannix gets to fool around with his true girlfriend, which is Lenora Lemons, because she's a socialite. She's got money. And he doesn't care about spending money on her because he's got money. He's the head of MGM Studios.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He's making $200,000 a year in 1959.
Wow.
Are you serious? Yeah, I'm
That's
serious.
a lot of money.
That's like making $2.5–3 million today.
Yes.
Okay. Or more. Okay. 200 grand a year to run MGM, the largest film studio on planet Earth. And yeah, guess what? It's still today the largest movie studio on the planet. Not even close with anybody else. Paramount, not even close.
But why? I mean, why do that to Tony? I mean, because they had their open relationship. Was it to where she would be devastated so badly?
No, you know what it was? Here's what it was. It's simple. It comes down to the emotional content. Here's what happened. He was okay. Eddie Mannix was okay with Tony Mannix having an affair with George Reeves. What he didn't count on, what nobody counted on, including Lenore Lemon, what they didn't count on, Amelia, was Tony Mannix falling in love with George.
Mm-hmm.
She really loved him.
Yes.
Okay. In fact, a lot of people believe that Tony Mannix is the mother of George Reeves Jr.
Right.
Okay. You look at that guy.
They look
He
a
looks
lot
just
alike.
like a
Mhm.
lot. They
Yeah.
look like, I'll show the pictures again.
Yeah, they look like twins. Might as well
Let me
say.
see something.
You're
Okay.
identical.
Adventures of Superman. Daily Planet, I'd like to speak to Clark Kent.
Oh, no, wrong one, folks.
Well, I mean, if it was, I mean, why would my thing would be is like,
Okay,
why
here
would
it is.
he?
I got it.
Okay.
I found it. I found what I was
Okay.
looking for. So I was going to play the Adventures of Superman again. That's funny.
Oops, the wrong one.
Here it is, right here. There you go, Mel. And now watch, because I'm going to show you something here.
Mm-hmm.
There are a number of people here who have a couple, not saying number, a couple. There are
Mm-hmm.
a couple of
Right.
people who have a motive.
Right.
Okay. This, of course, is Noelle Neal. She played, Lois Lane. All right. That's Eddie Mannix.
Yes.
Now, you can look at him, and he looks like he's got a temper.
Oh yeah, you could tell by his
He
eyebrows.
looks like, he's got that don't fuck with me look on
His
his face,
eyebrows, yes.
right?
Uh-huh.
Definitely has that look. Let's see who else is here. And there he is at the studio. There's Tony. Now you look at her. She's a beautiful woman, pretty woman. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, Jimmy Olsen, Jack Larson, of course. There.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the picture that had everybody buzzing. Tony Mannix and George Reeves photographed together at Ciro's. Now, keep in mind, this was before he became Superman. Are you ready for this one?
Mm-hmm.
Guess who gave him the job as Superman?
Mr. Mannix.
Eddie Mannix.
Yeah.
Hello.
No.
And when?
You could tell that they love each other right there just by the way they're looking at each other.
Exactly. Exactly. Look at him.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Here's the other thing, though. I want you to. Angela would help if you push the button. There you go. Again, that's George's friend character. Okay, it's his mother. His mother died, I believe, completely empty.
Yeah.
Look at him.
Yeah, they're twins.
Okay. You are not going to tell me. You're not going to tell me. You can't. He looks like he spit him out like a Xerox.
The smile, everything, the eyes, the eyebrows,
Everything.
Mm-hmm.
The arch, everything. The arch in the eyes. Both eyes, too, by the way. Take a look. There are certain things you get from your mother, certain things you get from your father.
Yes.
He got that from his papa. Jean LaBelle. All right, let's get to Lenore Lemon. She's coming up here. There she is. Okay. Of all the people, she's the one that's got the most to lose. She's also the one that's got the most to gain. Because if she's found out that she's not only having an affair with Eddie Mannix, but if Mannix finds out she's having an affair with the guy that she hired to kill Superman,
right?
She's out completely. She's out in the cold. Okay,
very out in the cold.
Yeah, like in Siberia cold. Right. Here's the question I have for you: and it's kind of like it's a double-edged sword. I know I'm going to get, probably a couple different answers, but because you can answer it several different ways.
Right.
Let's say it doesn't. Let's say she's innocent. Let's just take that position. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say she didn't do anything,
Correct.
but she's guilty by suspicion, but she's clean. She didn't do anything. What other motive does anybody else have? I need to know the answer to that. What's the motive?
I guess just getting rid
That's
of.
the question of the night. What was the motive to kill Superman?
Probably.
Was it money? Was it money?
Could have been that he was.
No.
No.
No. I already answered that question. Yeah. It can't be money.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because they all have money.
They all had money but him, but love. It was love.
All right. Who's to gain? What's the motive? If money's not the motive, what's the motive?
Eddie Maddox had to be in power of everybody, and he found a way to get rid of the problem.
That was a given. That's a non-starter.
Yeah. Eddie Maddox had to have everything.
There's a clear motive here, and I thought you would have spit it out by now, but you haven't even come close. You were close earlier in the show.
Well, I know that Eddie Maddox, if he didn't have, he could get rid of the problem, then that way he could have his cake and eat it too, basically.
You know what the man? Let me do this. Let's regroup. Calm down, Angelo. Get your Italian blood pressure down.
Well, I mean, because think about it.
No, listen to me. I'm gonna. I have to tell you. You were so close. I was like, "Come on, Amelia, I'm rooting for you." You were right there. The motive in this case is as old as time and history itself. The oldest motive in the book, it goes back to the Bible. What's the oldest motive in the world? One word. Jealousy.
Yeah.
Who was jealous of who?
Eddie Maddox was jealous of George Reeves.
Yes. You finally got it. Yeah.
And think about it. Get rid of the problem. There you go.
What? But why was he jealous? What's to be jealous of?
He's a better looking man.
Here's a guy. Well, no, wait a minute now. Let's play devil's advocate here. No, because now we're getting into the conversation.
Yeah.
Here's the conversation. This is the crux of it right here.
Right.
Okay. Here's the conversation. Eddie Maddox, who's got more money, power, and access to anything he wants, the one person that everybody envies. Why would he be jealous of George Reeves? The answer is simple. Because Tony Maddox loved George. She didn't love Eddie.
Well, why would he care, though? Because
big jealousy.
You
said the answer. You gave the answer. Control.
Yeah. Control. He wanted everything.
You were right there. You were right there. It was like, come on, Mill.
He wanted that control over everybody, and if he couldn't have it, why get rid of the problem?
No. That's where you lost it. That's where you lost it. He did not want control over everybody. He wanted control over his wife, and he couldn't get it. Why? Two reasons why. Tony Maddox was an independent woman. She thought what she thought. She said what she said. Nobody stopped her. The other thing, the most important thing, she didn't need his money. She had her own money. She came from a very wealthy family in the circus business. They had millions and millions and millions of dollars, many millions. Her family circus used to travel the entire United
yes.
States,
Mhm.
every state from Florida to Washington State,
Yes.
from California to Maine,
Mhm.
and everywhere in between, up and down.
Every yep. Yeah.
Okay? So,
And that's
what was
what
the motive? Jealousy.
Mhm.
He was jealous that his wife loved somebody else. So he went out and he spent a ton of money on Lenore Lemon. He spent a lot of time with her. He was banging his Japanese chick too, right? Because
Right?
don't forget, she's still in the picture here,
Yeah, she's still there
right?
cleaning. Right.
Right? Yeah, cleaning and getting laid and whatever the hell. And she's
Right.
getting paid. She's getting laid and getting paid, okay?
Mhm.
The other thing, Lenore Lemon knows her and Eddie Mannix are two peas in a pod. They're both ruthless. They'll both sell their own mother for $1. They're both the kind of people that will do anything, anytime to get whatever they wanted. And
Yeah.
didn't matter who they stepped on, walked over, ran over, or had to kill to get it.
Or whoever got in the way, they got rid of real quickly.
Exactly. Poor George Reeves got in the way.
Mhm. Yeah.
And that, my friends, is who killed Superman, the death of actor George Reeves, and that was the motive. As old as time itself, jealousy. Now, because you've been such a trooper, Amelia, I'm going to play your favorite commercial
Oh
tonight.
no, please.
There
Okay.
you go. We'll be
Go
right
for
back,
it.
folks.
Go
What,
for
you
it.
don't want it now?
No, go for it. Go
I
play your
thought you
commercial.
loved this commercial. Wait, I was getting all excited to hit the button for you. Here you go. Do you have sweaty balls or volleyball netty balls? It's time to make them ready balls. The Manscaped.com Lawnmower 3.0 will do the job and clean your knob with its patented no-nick head, so your head will function as desired. Enter promo code Wrestling Future for a generous 20% discount. That's enter Wrestling Future for a 20% discount. Manscaped.com and Wrestling with the Future, going balls to the walls with Manscaped.com and the Lawnmower 3.0. Your balls will thank you, and so will we. What's the buzz? America's best podcast on the record tonight. You heard the true but unbelievable, remarkable, incredible story of who killed TV Superman, George Reeves, the actor that America fell in love with. Children all over the world fell in love with that Superman character. It's funny how you talk about this now 65 years later to the
Can you
day.
believe it? 65 years.
65 years to the day that he was to get married. Father's Day was 65 years to the day
Mhm.
that he was murdered.
Right.
And we can now say
Mhm.
conclusively,
It was a murder, yes.
with absolutely no shadow of a doubt, that George Reeves never took his own life. It was impossible for him to take his own life in the manner that they say he did. How do you shoot yourself in the back of the head twice? It never happened, folks.
Mm-mm.
He was killed. He was taken out to silence him. And that was the motive, to kill Superman. Jealousy. It was pure and simple, as old as time itself. Eddie Mannix was a man with power who thought he could control everyone. And he almost did, but he couldn't control the one person that he wanted to. The one that was closest to him, his wife.
Yes.
You know? So, what did he do? He made sure his wife suffered.
Yes, that's the sad part. Somebody had to suffer. Well, two people suffered, like you
Yeah,
said.
two people won and two people lost.
Mhm.
and there were lots of characters in there. Tried to warn George. Some people tried to help George, like Gene LaBelle and his friend. Oh God, that actor. I just said his name to the actor.
Mhm.
Ben Welland. Ben
Ben
Welland.
Mhm.
Thank you, Lord. But then again, there were other people who had it in for him. So you know what? Look, it happens, folks. It happens. And who's in the chat room?
Hmm.
Leon. Yeah, well, Leon, here's the problem, brother. They're saying, Leon, I don't know if you heard the story, but they're saying George Reeves committed suicide. He shot himself in the head twice. How do you do that? How do you shoot yourself in the head twice? Exactly. It's totally impossible. See,
Yeah.
this is why we do this show. Like, 'cause you can't.
No,
I
you
don't
can't.
care what kind of gun you have. I don't care how you reach around or you're not going to shoot yourself in the head twice.
No.
It can't happen.
No, you can't. I mean, even if it's an
just
accidental,
It can't happen.
no, because it's just impossible.
It
Not
is. It's impossible. We know because Leon said it's impossible. God
'Cause
knows we have to listen to Leon.
right? Oh, we
Tell you
like
what's
Leon.
coming up on the show.
We love Leon around here, so it's good, right?
Absolutely, we do.
Now
Yeah,
we have Monday the 24th. We're going to be talking about the unsocial media vessels of misinformation. You know, you believe everything that you hear from any social media. Be careful because of what you believe may or may not be true. So be very
Yeah.
careful.
Oh, we know that for
Mhm.
real.
Yep. And
Don't
then
we?
exactly right. And then the 25th, Tuesday, we're going to be talking about unmasking of America.
The unmasking of America. Now, we're not talking about COVID, Mansford.
No, no, no,
We're
no.
talking about some really creepy, really realistic looking masks.
Mhm.
Scary stuff
Oh yeah.
that you could be talking to someone wearing a mask and not even know it.
Yeah, it could be pulling like, is that really, hey, is that my, you never know.
Some of these things are so realistic. They got hair on the chest.
Yeah,
They
they
got,
do all the way down to here. They'll
oh
make the
my
mask.
God, yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I'm going to show I'm putting together a video compilation of that.
Mhm.
Man.
Yeah, there's a man that I think we saw not too long ago turned himself to like a little girl or something like that with pigtails or something like
Oh
that.
yeah.
Scary.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh my God, that is too scary to do that. But
Creepy is what it is. It's
very
fucking
creepy because you never know who you will have. And then on the 26th, we're just gonna bullshit about stuff. And so if you
Yeah, and we're going to do a lot more of that too. We're going to be bullshitting about a lot of stuff.
so if you piss us off, watch out because you're gonna be a part of our session.
Exactly. Exactly. All right, so listen, we're good show tonight.
Yes.
Good show. I'm very happy with that.
I learned a lot more than before because I was like, what? When you
I
brought us
know.
that new
Well, you know what it
information.
is? You can only people understand that why we do like 2-parters and 3-parters. Here's the reason for it. A perfect example. I'll give you a perfect example of why you do part 1, part 2, part 3, right? The most famous case, the Zodiac.
Yes.
We did the Zodiac case. And that was, God, it was a long time. In 1969, the Zodiac started its killing spree.
Correct.
And here's what happened. The Zodiac went away. Then it came back again. But was it the same Zodiac? Well, yeah, it turns out it was. But then there were some copycat Zodiac killings, and we had to sort through that. Long story short, the people involved, the suspects involved, started dying off, and we had to find out which guys were kind of like still around.
Correct. Who was
Arthur Lee Allen, people like that, right?
correct?
Prime suspect, Arthur Lee Allen. And so when we get new information, it changes the show that we've done previously.
Oh yeah, we have to.
Now that's all new stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Same subject, new stuff.
We just
But
added
as
in
the case with Who Killed Superman. We've done this show before.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is coincidental
get-
that we're doing it now on his anniversary.
Well, but and that's part of that happened. Let me tell you something.
Coincidental.
That
people.
happened coincidentally by chance.
Mhm.
Okay. I say it was serendipity. Here's what happened, folks. When I get a phone call or an email says, "Hey, Mad Dog, I got some new info for you on this particular case." We don't sit here. We look into it.
Oh, yes, we do.
And when I found out the info, the piles of new info on George Reeves, hold on. Well, here you go.
Mhm.
I got 5 pages of new stuff. This is all stuff that's never been talked about on the show.
Right.
We all believed it was Eddie Mannix acting alone at the time. We
Right.
didn't know.
Yeah.
Yes, it was Eddie Mannix, but he was acting on behalf of Lenora Lemon.
Yes.
She's the real culprit here. You want to know why he died? Look at her. Eddie Mannix was the guy who hired the muscle, but she's the one who put
She's the brains.
She's the one who put George in that position.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the sad thing.
Yes, very
Well,
sad.
folks, look, we are this is our Friday. So we will see you, God willing, and the creek don't rise. We will see you on Monday with another episode of What's the Buzz, America's Best Popcast. So for Amelia, the Pitbull Chapman, I am the Mad Dog, Angelo DeCipio. We'll see you again. God bless everybody. Take care. Bye.
Good night.